Hello, everybody. Welcome to Motif's Between the Notes. My name is Ben Shaw. We're here at the Parlour. We're going to talk to Leland Baker in a sec, but I just want to say that a big thank you to our sponsors, R1 Entertainment Center, Dash, Bolt Coffee, and Trinity Brew Pub, and especially thanks to Gregory and the staff here at the Parlour for doing all they are doing for live music here in Providence and Rhode Island at large. But with no further delay, let's talk to Leland Baker. How's it going, bud?
Good, man. Good.
Good to see you.
Trying to stay cool.
Try. I know, man. It's hot.
After I say that, I'm wearing these long sleeves and hat, but
I know. Well, I mean, you gotta look fresh, man. That's good.
Trying.
Now, how's things? How's gigging life now that we're kind of coming out of it a little bit?
It's as we kind of was saying before, it's just kind of thrown right back into it, you know. And so I'm trying to catch up and get the endurance back, but it's been going well. Staying busy, definitely staying busy. So thankful.
We were talking about how the humidity's kind of affecting the reeds on the horn a little bit.
Oh yeah,
with all that.
Yeah, it's constant battle.
Yeah. Where are you playing lately?
So I picked up my regular gig that I had before COVID at Cortland Club in Providence, off of Broadway on Cortland Street. So I'm back there once a week. We do 2 sets, me and my trio, and that's been a blast just to get back to that.
Yeah.
That not only just that gigging environment, doing what we do as musicians, performing and feeding off that energy, but that place is like special. It has such a good vibe, and it's a great it's a cocktail bar. So
now what's it about the vibe of it? What is it?
Oh, it's like a speakeasy. It's one of those speakeasy
man.
joints. So you can drive by it easily. It looks like an apartment.
Yeah.
But Jay, the owner over there, has done some great stuff with that place, and we started doing that residency. It was almost a year, and then COVID had everything shut down in March. It would have been a year in May that we were there, but now we picked right back up where we left from, and it's been a good vibe. Selling out both sets. Both shows every week.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Wow.
And the crowd's attentive, and so it's been a good time.
I think people are really, from what I've seen, people are really kind of rearing to go on this. They're really ready to see live music again.
Yep.
And especially with jazz, in the kind of before times, it seemed like it was always a little bit tough to kind of get people to come out to things. So knowing that they're coming, and selling out at Cortland, that's really cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, the first week, it was just like it's like we haven't left,
Yeah.
So that was cool, and we've been there. It's got to be the fifth or sixth week this coming Sunday. So.
Oh, nice.
So that's been going well, and then just picking up different gigs, freelancing stuff here and there. My band in Brooklyn is getting more and more work as New York starts to open up.
That's Quarter Water, right?
Quarter Water. So it's a hip-hop fusion band that I'm in. So we got some stuff coming up in July out in New York, and then as well as in Providence. So yeah, man. And a couple other collaborations I'm working on right now with some other artists. So just trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the hardest parts, I think, about the kind of immediacy of the pause right when it happened in March, was that it kind of shut the door on everything that was happening.
Right.
So what was that? I don't mean to bring you back into a bad space or anything, but what was it like to kind of make that transition from being because you were a fairly regular live gigging musician out in Providence and Boston, New York. I mean, you were making things happen in a few different areas. What was it like to just kind of shutter that part of the business and then transition into figuring out what was next?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was difficult. It was, I feel like for everybody, I'm sure it was kind of like, what's happening, number one. But as an artist, it was, it just happened so quick. It took a while to like process it. And, once I realized there's like nothing you can do about it, this seems like we're in it for the long haul. I used the time to just kind of try to hone my craft and work on things I've been wanting to get to. You know how it goes. You're sometimes just working and trying to gig, and you don't really have time to always focus on your craft or things you've been wanting to get to in regards to your artistic practice. So anyhow, I used that like that first month or two I really got working on some things, which felt good.
Nice.
That felt good. So trying to transform that negative energy into something positive, which worked out for me. And within that, I got into like some grant writing.
Oh, nice.
You know,
nice.
some things I always thought about doing, just never found the time, never knew how to approach it. You know, looking for monies to support projects that, you know, I want to create, artistic projects. So I did that and met some cool people in the process.
Nice.
Which I have formed collaborations through those interactions.
Yeah, and when you say, you know, that the pause kind of gave you time to focus on projects that you want to work on, that's one of the things that I kind of felt like right when we were maybe about a couple months in. I remember looking at my wife and saying, you know, I feel bad because secretly I had wanted in that last year, I was like, I really just wanted to kind of take some time off to sit and work on some new music and really work on the craft and everything. And I kind of feel bad that like this is the way I got it. You know, it's like you feel like really horrible to have that time because of everything that's happening. But you also, there's that weird gratefulness that you've also feel because it's now you do have the time, especially with you sitting in doing all these different gigs and all that stuff. Sometimes it must be hard to kind of focus on what it is, not that you're not doing what you want to do, but stuff that's kind of just for you. Do you find that is hard sometimes when you're so focused on the next gig, the next gig, to really sit down and just take time to write or to practice deeply some function of the music that you never really get to otherwise?
Yeah, definitely. So that's what this pause, you know, a lot at this in the very beginning, especially when we were all locked in our houses, pretty much. Just like I can't be, nothing I can do about it. You know, I'm not just gonna sit in sorrow. So, but yeah, on a regular basis, you know, kind of sometimes you don't really get. Sometimes it's not as fulfilling, you know.
Yeah.
And so that felt good to get back to like the whole passion of things in terms of an artist. You know, for me anyhow.
No, because purpose can get kind of foggy when you're constantly, like we were just talking about 5 minutes ago, when you're constantly pushing for the next gig, when you're having you're kind of thrown up against the wall, and especially being someone who is trying to make their living completely as an artist or as an educator or whatever, you know, through music.
Right.
You know, that's a powerful force, and it's obviously something that inspires you and keeps you moving. But when your back is against the wall and you feel like you're trying to constantly fight these battles and get these gigs, it wears you down. So having that time is a bit of a blessing. But what were the kind of, I mean, because, you know, this series is called Between the Notes.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can get into a lot of your backstory, but sometimes I think what people want to know, especially with jazz, is the kind of trying to give them a sense of what the music is. So what did you, first of all, what did you play today? What were the kind of selections of what you played today?
I forgot.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like just calling charts. Like,
well,
let's do this.
No, I think we played some classic standards, but There's No Greater Love, Body and Soul, great ballad. Ben Webster, great sax player, has a great version of that tune. Played a blues, and I believe we played Remember.
Yeah,
which Hank Mobley has one of my favorite versions of that.
Yeah, that's
standard.
a classic.
Yeah. So,
now when you're preparing repertoire for a gig like this, what are your kind of considerations, especially when you were only playing with a bass player? What are the kind of things that you're looking to, you know, kind of do in this space? It's a weird question. It's not a good question, but it was a question.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I was kind of waiting for that motorcycle.
Yes. We got traffic outside, right along this road.
Honestly, any space I get into, not to deflect from the question, but any space I get into, I try to just take the same momentum and the same goal, the same feeling. whether it's a duo, whether it's a trio or quartet. Now of course you have more room, more things are happening when you have more pieces or whatever.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't really think too much about the music in regards to the setup.
Right.
I just thought of it as, we got a few minutes and we're just gonna swing and play some classics and
Nice.
see where it goes.
Now, when I wanted to, you said something really good there, is that no matter the ensemble, you're always aiming for the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you personally, what is that goal when you're entering into any situation, whether it's playing with Quarter Water, when you're playing here with just Ian playing bass? Like, what is the goal for you when you're improvising or when you just enter into music, when you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, to connect and meaning that like connecting with the audience, but connecting with something that's bigger than myself and I think everybody, which is, there's a special thing that musicians are able to tap into, and it's not to sound too mystic, but it's definitely a power that we don't have, but we're given. We have that ability to really tap into something that's not surface level.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just it extends beyond, everyday of what we know everyday society to be like. So, just trying to really connect with that and be true to myself and just to be honest, just to have thankful for my voice, meaning my sound on saxophone, and just to try to let that come out and hopefully connect with somebody and they feel it in some kind of way. And also to, for me too, it's kind of like a sacred thing. And any bandstand I step onto, I treat it as a sacred space because I'm having the ability, or given the opportunity, I should say, and having the ability to express something that my ancestors kind of put here long ago and may have not had that same space to express. So for me, it's a very, very much of a cultural and spiritual kind of thing.
Is there something of a duty in that you feel that it's like to pay homage to all that? What is that like for you? Where did you first develop that kind of feeling? Was it just through listening? You just said like this is a way for me to kind of connect with my ancestry, with my spirit in a different way. Mm-hmm. What was that moment for you where it first kind of clicked in that music would be the vessel for that?
I would say once I was 14, once I picked up saxophone.
Yeah.
I mean, it came before that. Like it's hard to explain. It was like an intangible thing. I just heard and felt, certain things when I listened to music, especially black music, black American music, African American music, which pretty much is American music. But when I heard certain elements, they just connected in a way. And then, the older I got and the more educated and informed I got in regards to just historically, the more I felt like it was, I don't want to say like a duty, because then it feels like work.
Right.
But you know what I mean? But definitely something that I'm conscious of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I am given the opportunity to play,
No, it's a special gift that I don't think a lot of people will get if they don't have something to sort of connect them with that, if they don't have that vessel that you do. It's because music is so ethereal and it can be so easily tied to spirit and to lineage that it's just, and especially the kind of Black American experience and the Black music that comes from that. It's such a powerful part of music history. Like you said, it is American music history, is Black music. So I would imagine that there's just an incredible lineage that you get to tap into, and that when you find that feeling of music, like you described, it can feel like it's intangible, but I think you just get that there's a sense like that it just kind of comes upon you. So you said when you were 14 is when that happened, and that's when you first picked up the saxophone for the first time and started playing, or was it a song that you heard was like, oh, I want to go with that instrument?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a broken record. I tell this story but
No,
I mean,
man.
it's part of the. I guess you asked. So, for me, it was. If we're gonna talk about specifics, this guy Junior Walker and the Junior Walker. He had a band called Junior Walker and the All Stars, and he was on the Motown label in the '60s, R&B record label, and he was a sax player and a vocalist. So my mom always had, she always played the classic R&B and all that stuff around the house. So that's how I heard it. And for me, it just clicked. It felt good. His sax playing sounded like his actual singing. You know what I mean? So it was like, it went from like, oh, that's an instrument. I know that's not a voice, a human voice, but the way he just, commanded, this instrument in a way that it didn't sound like a man-made thing anymore. It was just like, so a part of him and so soulful and honest and beautiful. So I was like, oh shoot, I want to try to see if I can attempt to play it.
Well, that's it's funny because I was recently reading up on Charles Lloyd, and he said something similar, that was not that was his same kind of entryway, but that's what he was trying to do with saxophone, is that he just wanted to connect it as he would his voice. He thinks about it in the same way. But I guess with him, his problem is that he couldn't really sing that well. So he said that I had to pick up this piece of plumbing in order to make it happen. But I mean, Charles Lloyd, and I mean the brilliance that he possesses, and his own unique sound and everything.
Right.
So, and actually, I was talking with you earlier that like there's a lot of things that I could ask you, but you do these great interviews with I don't want to plug anybody else's thing really. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but Where the Living Room Used to Be is this great podcast. Leland and Gregory, we're both on it. Gregory in the Parlor, we're on it, and really great information there about your history and everything. And I mean, it's a really beautiful exploration. So if people want to go deeper into that, then I would highly suggest going and checking that out. James Toomey did a great job kind of talking with you about that.
Yep.
But so let's get into the nerdy stuff then.
Oh, okay.
This is Motifs Between the Notes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about all the different notes. So that transition from C to B that you made in measure like 30. No, we're not going to get like that. No, we're not going to do that. That would be pretty.
About it too.
Be like, okay, what was that? No, but when you're because jazz is such an incomplete term for what we do, for the music that you play. But with the kind of term jazz comes like all the ideas of theory and all this stuff. When you break it down, what kind of concepts do you find that you return to most in, is it just a sonic thing? Is it like a scalar pattern? What is it sort of when you're first entering a tune?
Yep.
What is the kind of core stuff you're trying to take from that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. When you say sonic and patterns in regards to theory and language, so to speak. I got certain like things, devices or whatever that I go to that I know, but then hopefully part of that is leading me somewhere else that I haven't been to before, or that I haven't explored too much. That's still a little unfamiliar. To kind of keep everything spontaneous and creative. But yes, I would say it's both. Some sonic, vibing with the band, whoever I'm playing with, and then also go into some stuff that I've worked out in terms of
Well, because you're a teacher, right? You do private lessons every once in a while.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That's what I claim. That's on the business card.
Right.
Now, when you're first approaching jazz? Because, like I said, it is it's pretty tough when you first enter into it. There's a whole lot of knowledge that kind of gets thrown upon you, and it's like now you're kind of got to wade into the water. What's the first thing that you approach students with and say, like, hey, man, if we're going to do this is how we're going to start?
Yeah, I mean, I would sound and just trying to build upon those blocks.
Now, when you say sound, do you mean like specific to the instrument or just your own personal?
Well, it definitely takes a minute, to get that, to really. I don't know. I kind of always thought I heard what I wanted to sound like, but I that wasn't my sound.
Yeah.
And then when I found my sound, I became more connected to it, to where I fully accepted it, and now I work on honing it, and developing it. So I think definitely just the sound of the instrument at first to get that connection, and yeah, just trying to embody the music, really listen to. I mean, that's one thing I had when I was younger. I didn't have formal training, really, not until I got to college. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff I didn't know, but I always was listening to music. I was always listening to the things that brought me to wanting to play saxophone, and then finding new things out of that, So that's important, because even if you don't get the chance to practice, or if you don't know that much, or you sound like a dying duck, which it's that that's definitely the case with saxophone sometimes.
So you went for my sound. That's what I sound like.
Oh,
That's trying my best.
I'm trying to sound like you.
Oh no, but that's actually because I like that thread that we're going on, but I don't want to miss this, because I think one of the things that's hardest with saxophone is that a lot of your sound, and I didn't really notice this until I was in college, and I was holding up, I think, another saxophone player, Chris Gagnon, is a buddy of ours. He got this brand new tenor, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to try out yours. You want to try out mine?" Right. I'm like, "Okay." So we just switched horns, and it was the weirdest thing, because mine is completely different than his. His was an older model. Mine was slightly newer, but it's they're both really good horns. I still sounded exactly like me, and he still sounded exactly like him, because I don't know if someone explained it to me. It's it has to do with your bone structure, whatever. So it's like your voice. You're stuck with that. You can hone it, but you can't really change it.
Right.
What you said something about, you didn't really like your sound at first. What was it about your sound that you were so kind of upset with?
Well, besides, being a beginner on the horn, but even eventually when I got to, even throughout college for the most part, it just wasn't, at the time, I couldn't get what I was listening to, you know what I mean? In terms of sound. There are certain guys like Kirk Whalum, still one of my favorite sax players today. I mean, that guy has a sound and a half, so soulful. Other guys I was listening to early on, like Grover Washington, all those guys, and then eventually I got into more straight ahead jazz, Coltrane and Joe Henderson. But I was just, I don't know, it wasn't and then I realized that's their sound. They honed that sound. They've worked on that. That's in them.
Right.
You know what I mean? We could listen to, listening is important, like I said, and transcribing, as you know, is, that's highlighted, I should say, or promoted, especially within jazz music, to learn the language, transcribe what people are playing so you can start to understand it.
Yeah.
But still, at the end of the day, you gotta, you find your own voice through that. So eventually, I understood that, and then I think that led me to my voice and, my gift. And just working on that,
Yeah, and just trying to hone what you have, kind of the natural gifts that you have.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's who are your kind of guys early on? I know you just said Kirk Whalum. You just said a few names, but was there somebody that you just kind of attached to real quick and just started transcribing things, or was it you just decided to listen to a whole lot of people, trying to get as much as you can, or did you hyper focus into one person?
Yeah, I kind of had periods. I just went through, put one guy on, or whoever, or a handful of people, on rotate pretty much, and then I move on to something else. But in the very beginning, it was voice. It was I was just trying to emulate vocalists, singers, and like I said, a lot of the classic R&B stuff, because that's what I grew up with, growing up with my mom. So even if it was, Patti LaBelle or Marvin Gaye or Stevie Wonder, or The Temptations, those sounds, knowing that, I'm playing the saxophone, I'm not singing, but just trying to get the articulations, the phrases, and that depth of tone.
Yeah.
whether it was something like a raspy quality to their voice, all those things. I was starting to pick up details within that music first, and then eventually I started listening to sax players.
Did you ever want to be a vocalist at all? Was that ever considered, or?
I mean, yeah, but I can't sing. Like
Wanted it, but unfortunately.
So I realized sax, I can somewhat get a little close and manipulate it like a voice anyhow. So.
Now, was it always, I mean, has it just always been saxophone the entire time and it's always been tenor, or is there times where you're like, oh, maybe I'll get into alto, maybe I'll start playing the baritone, or I know I think you played a little bit of soprano, but
yeah.
Is it just always been tenor because that's where you feel like your voice is strongest, or?
Yeah, tenor was definitely the one that stuck out to me, and I feel like, yeah, like you said, I feel like that's where my voice is in terms of what I'm hearing. But soprano has been another favorite of mine because I'm able now to play the stuff I hear higher, without having to play out, here comes the nerdy part, play altissimo and all that on tenor. It just comes out naturally on soprano. So,
right.
I've been getting into soprano, dabbling anyhow. But I started with alto, and then I went to tenor.
See, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I think they said, it's like, we have enough tenor players.
Yeah.
Or it was either that or it was a punishment. I don't know. I wasn't a good practicer, so they're like, okay, we can't let this kid. He's just gonna ruin it. All the good parts were on tenor. So it's for those of you who don't know, by the way, altissimo is sort of the extended range of the saxophone register. So it gets to a certain point. On the horn, and then you have to do all these fancy tricks with fingerings and your mouth and everything to get up higher. Just for the people who, you know, I mean, everyone knows saxophone stuff, but just for the one guy in the back who's like going, I don't know.
Right, who's unfortunate,
Yeah, it's hard to cultivate those different techniques when you're also, especially in a jazz context, when you're working so hard on the technical side of your study, but you're also working on the theoretical and you're also working on the language. So when you enter a practice session, what are the things you're working on first? What are the things you're working on most?
Again, these days back and forth with certain things, but definitely I think it's important at this point where I'm at now to start off. I usually start off most of my practice sessions, unless it's like I got a lot of music to learn for a gig coming up, and go right to the music. But just playing, shedding by myself, or one would say jamming by myself, exploring different sounds, and in that immediate moment, what I'm hearing, you know what I mean? Or like a scale or pattern I've been working on, and then just explore that. And
are you really regimented? Like, is there like a specific, like, I need to do 5 minutes on this, I need to do 5 minutes on that, or are you just kind of free flow, you just follow wherever sort of creativity takes you?
Pretty free flow. I'm bad with just, so if I could see the clock, like, okay, I got 2 hours before I have to do my next thing, so let's see what happens, you know what I mean? I get A, B, and C done within 2 hours, but as far as like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not really.
Now, that's well, because I've always been such a bad practicer that I've just developed habits of just, even if I'm trying to get in the flow, my flow is just kind of noodling around, and then, oh, look at that, 45 minutes. I guess I practiced. So what I have to do is I have to be really regimented in that and say, okay, it's going to be 5 minutes for this, because my focus will just fly. So the fact that you can kind of stay on task and get, I mean, because clearly for people who just watch the stream can see that you're getting into some really interesting places. Now, what's like a kind of typical day for you now that we're sort of re-entering into the music world and live music is becoming a thing? What's a day look like for a Leland Baker?
I'll sleep.
First and foremost, one major thing, sleep.
Then maybe the news, eat, sleep again. Then I was
about to say, watch the news, decide to just
no
go
music
to bed
involved
again.
any at all. No, I mean, it goes all it goes all over the place. But in terms of music, I try to just take time for myself in the beginning of the day. You know what I mean? And then once I get to the saxophone, it's if I got to work on some music, learning some music. and working out maybe some ideas. Then I'll focus on that.
Yeah.
Other parts is of that practice will be like sound once again, just trying to just keep honing the sound, whether it's intonation, which is like, getting your pitch and tuning and all that stuff right. Working on extended technique, which can be vibrato, like the gimmicky stuff on saxophone, whatever is honking or altissimo or growling or, whatever, tonguing.
You're just trying to increase the bag of, not tricks, but just what is available to you when you're playing.
Exactly. And then, of course, transcription. Listening, even if I don't get to, like, actually transcribing that day, but listening to, some cats or some tunes, especially tunes that I'm working on, hearing other people play them, other versions of them, and then eventually working out maybe some lines that I liked that player, that player played.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it's just...
So we got about 5 minutes left, so I just want to ask one more question, which is pretty much the most wide-ranging question that you could be asked. But what's next on the what's coming up again now that we're re-entering life? What is going to be next? What's the next thing you want to do?
Man, not to go through what we went through last year, but just to keep taking these opportunities that are coming and not take them for granted, and to keep playing and booking gigs. It's been a beautiful, welcoming, so to speak, or getting back to everything. It's been beautiful just to see people I haven't seen in a long time, other cats in the scene, playing with people, playing at some of my favorite venues within Rhode Island. That, and then working on some artistic collaborations that I started last year, which I'm excited for. Some very unique ones. One I'm working with Orlando Hernandez, which is a great tap dancer.
Nice.
An artist. So we got a project that we're calling Roots and Rhythm and Roots. And then starting a few other collaborations within that same kind of pool.
Nice.
Visual artist, Nafis White, great visual artist. So different things, exploring different ideas and aesthetics and whatnot within the artistic realm of things.
Trying to find a way to kind of merge your sound with somebody else's sound.
Yeah, and really just trying to like highlight certain things that are important to us. The basis of that project is to kind of highlight African diasporic culture and tradition through dancing and music.
Nice.
So we've been expanding upon that and got a few grants from different people. Brown University got a grant from them that they're extending next month. So we're excited about that. And yeah, man, and I just started aviation school. So your boy about to be flying a little bit too.
Uh-oh. Second career. I smell a second career.
Yeah.
You're going to fly to the gigs now.
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden a helicopter's just going to come down. And
got to get a plane. But no, I've been just staying busy, nevertheless.
Nice, man.
So.
Well, if people want to know more about what you're doing or where you're playing next, where can they find you?
On Instagram. And then I got a website, lelandbaker.com. And then Instagram, lelandbaker89.
Awesome. Well, Leland, thanks so much for talking to me and talking to the people at Motif Between the Notes. Thank you. I just want to say thank you once again to Leland for being here. I want to thank you for tuning into the stream. And, of course, thank you, Gregory, at the Parlour. And, once again, we are sponsored. This is Motifs Between the Notes, sponsored by R1 Entertainment Center, Dash, Bolt Coffee, Trinity Brew Pub. So thank you so much. My name is Ben Shaw. You can find me at Benjamin Shaw Music. And other than that, have a great day.
Cool.